Welcome back to Thor, God of Thunder. So now we are in
Ooh, frame rate
Niflheim.
slog.
Yeah, with a very janky entrance.
I love how
Not
Loki just
really,
came.
Loki.
I love how Loki just came here
I
nonchalantly.
disagree, Loki. It doesn't look spectacular at all.
It just looks like a cave.
Also, gotta love when Mjolnir's, lever cord keeps jerking off every time the shot changes.
It's like somebody attached floppy hair physics to it. And again, mind you, Loki had to follow us through Bifrost, which we did not see in the previous cutscene.
I hope you weren't expecting the villain of the first Thor movie, Loki, remember, Loki's father, because it's not in this game. It's not even name dropped at all. Instead,
Well, isn't this a prequel anyway? I wouldn't expect it to be.
but not by much. Remember, it's like not too before the event of the movie, and Loki's existed before Thor was a thing, was even born technically. Instead, again, this contributes to my theory that the Liquid Entertainment only knew a draft of what the movie was supposed to be, and they just scrambled because instead they take inspiration from the comics and have the ruler of this particular realm being a villain, recurring Thor villain from the comics, Ymir, the Lord of the Jotuns. Basically, a frost giant that controls ice, and in this case, the other Jotuns.
Now this kind of generates a bit of an issue, though, because as you'll remember from the movie, the Frost Giants had a much different leader. But here it's
Loki, like I said, he's not even present. For now, as Loki suggested, we just need to draw their attention, and in doing so, we will issue attention of Ymir himself. So for now, it's time to cause some mayhem. But before that, I was trying to get a collectible, but for some reason, the platform decided to collapse.
Oh yeah, we've got platforming in this game.
Thankfully, you don't die from bottomless pits. You just lose like a chip of your health, which is, understandable. So I'm fine with that. There we go. Now, I didn't talk about this in the first part, but basically what you're supposed to do, there are some of these sequences...
That's served
what?
cold.
Yes, get used to hearing a lot of stupid puns from the enemies. There are
also,
some sequences... There's a lot of sequences, like this one, for example, where the enemies respawn endlessly, and Thor needs to fill in a bar, the one that it's contained in the center of your HUD. It's like a progressive cyan colored bar that progresses from bottom to top. The more enemies you kill, the more it gets full, and once it reaches the maximum amount, you will press R1 in order to unleash a powerful attack that will end the endless mode and let you proceed to the next stage. It's very arcade in that kind of sense, but it's not too intrusive. It doesn't let you stay too long in an area, thankfully. Again, pretty much like I said, until the very end, the game is still manageable, despite the performance issues and the repetitive enemies. The game is technically manageable. It's a much better improvement compared to Incredible Hulk and the two Iron Man games, at least for the HD versions. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, remember, the Wii version of Iron Man is actually a good game.
And even in this case, it's just the DS version, not even the 3DS version, because the 3DS version is apparently it's very basically a sort of a downgrade or a port of the Wii version, because it was done by the same team, Redfly Studios, while the DS version is like a sprite based and is done by WayForward. Even as like similar to other games that had the Marvel games that had the different versions, the DS version has a similar plot but a different sets of enemies, because Hela shows up in that one, but Hela is not in this version of the game. So,
if the games were canon to the MCU, imagine how confused Thor would be. It's like, didn't I defeat you not too long ago?
Keep that thought in mind for the next game, Dweebs. It's actually honestly, well, okay, without spoiling.
Let's not forget, the same thing happened with the Iron Man video games too. Seeing as how in Iron Man 2, we faced off against what is supposed to have been Whiplash's father.
Well, to be fair, yes, but to be fair, it wasn't a case of a villain that would a character that would have shown up in a later game, like a later movie, and just happened to be present in the game. It was literally just a different character that was using the identity that the movie character or the movie that already and immediately come out, had impersonated. No, what Dweebs and me mean is the idea of what they said, the game having a character that would have later showed up in a future movie. But that's such is the case for the next game. But without spoiling too much, I will say this. If it wasn't for like that one or two character, the Captain America video game would fit quite nicely with the canon of the movie itself. But you will see for yourself, because for now, let's keep focusing on Thor, since I think we have attracted the attention of Ymir, which is a face. By the way, he is voiced by Mitch Lewis. Let me check what else he did.
Is that Mark Hamill?
No, Mitch Lewis. I just
Mitch
told.
Lewis.
Let me
It's a
see.
pseudonym.
Let me check. He seemed to have a knack for voicing video games, but not that much. Apparently, he was also the voice of Ironclad in the Incredible Hulk game. But considering I heard like one or two lines from him, I don't remember anything.
Well, I'll give him this. He sounds like he's actually giving it the good old college try.
Well, it's the case with most of the voice actors of this game, thankfully.
He sounds like
even for the books, Robin Akindaus, for example, for the Frost Giants, pun as art.
Well, I mean, the pun's on his fault.
No, it's just... Actually, it's a good question. Let me check who the writer is. Matt Fraction. Matt Fraction?
Matt Fraction.
Oh, it's another comic book writer, but we don't remember this particular. He seems to have mostly worked on the X-Men.
Ah, yeah, the X-Men have quite a lot of writers within their ranks. Makes sense with a comic that's run that long.
And with so many, and with a gajillion characters,
That's the thing, Tio. When it comes to certain other stuff, there's not nearly as many writers. Like, you'd think Spider-Man would have had, like, a whole army of writers at this point, but no. You could pretty much separate his eras by the writers. Like, you could probably count the amount of main writers he's had on your two hands.
And that's despite the fact that, in a sort of a paradox way, Spider-Man was running, like, what, 5... different type of comic runs at the same time.
Yeah.
Because that was needed. It was Spectacular Spider-Man, Agitated Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Just Spider-Man. Jesus Christ.
I mean, what next? Janitor Spider-Man?
Trust me. You know what? It really hurt during special events like Maximum Carnage, or where the story would be in one line of Spider-Man, and then would continue in a different line of Spider-Man. Have I mentioned that I hate comic book events where you need to have multiple different comic book lines to read, unless it's, a big crossover event?
Yeah, I normally don't mind tie-ins, but as long as they're not contained, but they're tied one line per character, in a sense of if I have an event that has, say, for example, the Infinity War comic book event. I actually read it when it was going, and a couple of its tie-in, particularly Doctor Strange and Quasar. But they were tied to one character each. Like, it wasn't like having, like, say, Spider-Man, it was divided into 5 different issues just concerning Spider-Man,
Tie-in events can be a tricky business, like, not just for the consumers, but even for the producers. There are, you can make an entire textbook off of how many times comic book writers have complained about when tie-ins have occurred, thus forcing them to drop their own story plots going in their books, to have their characters mention this or that, or have to do this or that tying into a certain event. Honestly, to me, the best crossovers are the ones that, okay, you can have tie-in material building up to stuff, but make it so that all you need is within the main crossover itself. You know, something like Final Crisis or...
The first Secret Wars didn't... I don't think the first Secret Wars actually had that many tie-ins, or if any.
Oh, the first Secret War is actually one of the best jumping on points if you want to get into Marvel mythos. It's that good a crossover.
And it's kind of important considering it's the origin of the Venom symbiote, essentially.
Yep, that's where Peter gets the black suit originally. It also is one of the most awesome moments for Doctor Doom.
Pretty much. There we go. Basically, as you can see, so
his rage.
You get some couple of these sections where you need to sort of stealth your way in, not necessarily because you need to avoid detection, but because there's, like, in this case, a cold wind blocking your path.
So
you can also perform counters, but I'm not really good at this, at least for close quarter combat. I'm more used to reflecting projectiles with the counters. I'm more good at the timing with that.
Thor can vaporize enemies with his lightning now.
Well, technically it is possible that in chemistry there is a state, I think in English it's still called like something like sublimation. It's when a solid passes immediately to a gas state, skipping the liquid part, so... And Thunder can potentially do that, depends.
It can, yeah, but I don't think we've ever seen him do that in the main continuity.
Not just that, I don't think Liquid Entertainment Studios thought about that when making the game. We're just like, okay, the Thunder vaporizes the enemy.
Oh, and he can shatter his enemies by throwing them.
Well, technically speaking, the Frost Giants are made of ice, so...
Oh, no, I get that, but look, did you see how the animation went? He just threw the guy and he instantly shattered upon contact. What the hell?
Also, yeah, as I've shown before and showing now, destroy everything that you can because it may give you some mana. The Odin Force. There you go. Also, collectible behind the waterfall, only that this time was frozen. Also, you may have heard the lack of something. There are some cases in the main level where the music just stops happening. I don't get it because Ion Zur is not a bad composer. Again, it's just that the music seems to be reserved only mostly for the action scenes. Aside from that, the game becomes relatively quiet. There we go. Basically, for each of the three main powers, Thor gets progressively bigger attacks. Like in this case, for example, he just got the last one that he needed. For lightning, you get basically the thunderstorm. The lightning storm that I showcased beforehand. For wind, you get a cyclone, and instead for thunder, you get essentially a earthquake where Thor just slaps some dirt in front of his enemies. Again, it's good for demolishing the armor, but not much else. So again, just stick to lightning.
I thought the music was being drowned out by the sound effects.
Sometimes that happens too, yeah. Also, occasionally, when you perform a grab, the enemy may actually try to counter, meaning that you have to perform a different QTs. That's nice, especially because the game, in that case, doesn't let you fall asleep, in that kind of sense. Instead, having to constantly be on your toes. But I don't get what's the ratio, like if there's a specific pattern or it can literally happen casually. That usually happens with these big enemies. The little ones don't give you any, struggle.
Now that I think about it, Loki being an ice giant kind of never gets brought up after the first Thor movie.
Well, I think you did mention in the movie commentary, but yeah, no, it's briefly mentioned in the proper Avengers movie, but yeah, that's pretty much it afterward.
Yeah.
Boom.
That looked like it hurt.
It also, well, to be fair, Jova, it doesn't. I don't think it's mentioned at all in this game. Though at some point, without giving too much away in terms of story spoilers, they use the MacGuffin that Odin took from Niflheim. I forgot what it's called. The battery that the Bifrost giant wanted in the movie.
I forget what it was. What about it?
Basically, it will be used in this story. Basically, I'm surprised because they don't even call it by name. Loki just show up with it, like, oh, so it's using it. Which again, it makes things confusing. So, did the studio know about what the movie unfolded or not?
I get the feeling they themselves were confused.
I do wonder if they just received the not the concept art, but yeah, the storyboard of the movie, and they just had to improvise from that.
I see it's another one of those games where a lot of enemies are just willing to stand around and wait their turn.
Yeah, they're using Assassin's Creed logic or of not attacking you too much at the same time. Boom.
Why didn't you do that before? Oh,
I will say this. I will also say this. While in cutscenes and for this particular feature move, it is actually a thing. What I'm about to say, it is actually a thing that happens. For normal combat, I do feel as if the game lacks. The game sound department lacks impact. You don't really feel the punch. You don't really feel the impact of Mjolnir smashing itself onto the enemies. Instead, it feels like you're waggling them with a stick.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit hard to describe.
Allow me. I know two very good examples, actually. One example
Actually, hold on, Java, because now it's time for the game to start its padding. See, Ymir is right up ahead, but there's a nasty storm blowing onto the bridge.
Storm's your thing, brother. Can't you make this any easier on yourself? The storm is of unnatural origin. It dares defy me.
I don't like its smug aura.
Yeah, apparently Ymir using a tower to control a storm. So
the storm looked at me funny.
So Thor will have to climb that fucking thing and debilitate it, and then we'll be able to confront Ymir.
Of course, don't you know that?
Right. Anyway,
this is
It's
oh
obvious.
god!
Whoa! Whoa!
Seriously, this actually was not my Elgato fucking up. The game literally forgot to load part of its textures after the cutscenes.
It happens sometimes in some games.
Honestly, for the most part, I'm going to assume it's the game doing it.
Absolutely.
In the PS3 version of Sonic Unleashed, when you're in Eggman Land, there's a certain section that sometimes it takes a while to load, so we can be running in invisible ground for a few seconds before the texture loads.
That level is too big for itself anyway.
Oh wow! The
Alright,
ice
now
even
it's
looks
loaded
pixelated.
properly. Yeah, actually now it's loaded properly. Anyway, go on, Jova, your example.
Okay, let's start off with our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man 2. The punch and attacks in that one not only sync up incredibly well with the vibrations of the controller, but they literally sound like you are in an action cartoon. They've got the whacks, the pops, the smashes, and everything. Like, when Spider-Man's fist connects with that forceps' skulls, you will definitely hear it. And also the sound effects from, also the different sounds the bosses can make and the impact they'll make with you, it all resonates well and true. And especially when you're going up against giant mechs here and there. Now, for the other clean example, Arkham City. Yeah, it's no secret that Batman Arkham Asylum has pretty much become the poster child for what people consider the pinnacle of superhero gameplay. And for good reason here and there. But in no small category is that for its sound department. Once again, the sound there feels so dang realistic. Like, it is one of the most realistic sounding games ever. Almost like they researched what every sound would sound like here and there. And again, it extends not only to how well Batman can punch people, but also to how his gadgets sound resonating off of impact here and there. Again, it's very immersive. Whereas with here, I think, to put it like this, Well, you hear sounds like that, they sound way too light. Like, this is Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. That thing does a heck of a lot of damage.
Mind you, there is an idea, because there is a bit of a thump. It's not like a simple. It's not like a simple stick waggling. Like I mentioned, there is a thump, but it's unfortunately not much. So the devs did have an idea, but let me check who, aside from Mayan Zur, who was responsible for the sound department. 3 people: J. David Atherton, Mark De La Fuente, and Harrison Deutsch, whatever. Though they're mostly responsible for dialogue recordists. Okay. Whatever. Yes, just hearing?
No, I was just gonna say the sound effect for the not for the crystal, but for like the waterfall ice, whatever it's supposed to be, is terrible.
Yeah, it sounds more like somebody.
It sounds so crusty. Like it's not. I know what sound they're trying to go for, but it just doesn't sound right.
Kind of crusty.
Boop, boop. I kind of like this thing, the fact that you can choose to destroy the enemy on the bridge or just make the bridge collapse itself. You can even get an achievement for that.
Mm-hmm. Listen to sounds like that. It doesn't sound like he's shattering it. It sounds more like he's chipping away at it.
Yeah.
And now we have another boss fight with another one of the golems. Only this time it has a bit more parts and a couple of new attacks. So at least it's not a complete rehash. But to continue in the meantime what Jova was saying, I think it's equivalent to the main difference in terms of hacking and slashing between an average hack and slash, where it does generally feel like you're not hitting things with a sword, but you're just waggling someone with a stick. Arguably, that's the intended mechanic for Kingdom Hearts for obvious reasons, because they just want to simulate the hack and slash moment without having to resort to cutting things with a keyblade, versus something like Metal Gear Rising, where you actually do cut things and you feel every slash of Raiden's sword. I guess that's the difference, I suppose. There we go. Also, another thing I didn't mention, the moving from one place to another of a boss is sort of awkward, because you're supposed to, when the arrows show up on screen, you're supposed to press circle and then slightly immediately after the direction you're supposed to go on the analog stick. So you can't just press the analog stick, you can't just press circle, you need to press them at the right time, otherwise the boss will immediately grab you and slam you on the ground. You will see it later in our parts.
Oh god, this is the most boring God of War game I've ever seen.
I know, right? Yeah, Angry Joe's metaphor was kind of perfect. He basically compared them to 2 brands of cereal. I think the first was Fruity Pebbles and the other your average cinnamon cardboard cereals that just, they do taste,
they're
not...
Was comparing this to Green Lantern?
No. He compared this to God of War, but in that kind of sense, he mentioned that this was the equivalent of an average cardboard cereals. Sure, it's not necessarily garbage, it's edible, and it's good for you, but it's not really, it doesn't give you pleasure in eating it.
Like, as much as I hate to admit it, at least with Incredible Hulk, I could see how somebody could get some sixth sense of masochistic pleasure from playing that game.
Once again, Jova, aside from the very final part, I have much more enjoyment playing this over Incredible Hulk.
I can definitely understand that. What I mean is, like, Incredible Hulk was a more fascinating game with how bad it was, whereas this game, well, okay, it is functional, but like I said, playing it feels like a chore because it lags throughout the entire experience, visually and in play style here and there.
It doesn't help that aside from some specific encounters, there's literally no talking during the boss fight. It's not like Thor is mentioning things as it goes on. And it's weird because in some of the areas where you fight different enemies or in other boss encounters, Thor is quite chatty. It's not like he is complete silent. So I don't understand what was the logic in some of these. I guess they couldn't afford Chris Hemsworth for too much.
Like, I will definitely agree. This is a better game than Incredible Hulk in, like, practically every way whatsoever. But in a way, it feels like it has less of an identity than the Incredible Hulk game. Weird as that sounds.
It's mostly because this battle is going on for way longer than it needs to.
There we go.
Well, it's over.
Ugh, God, finally.
But no, before proceeding, you need to destroy. So a reminder, we're doing this just to destroy just for the padding section.
To go up the stairs into the tower.
So yeah, let's speed up.
Ah, Polar Night stage.
Specifically,
Let's speed up.
there you go. Specifically the classic version, I think.
Fitting, very fitting. Oh yeah, also those ice walls are BS, the one that you just dealt with.
Actually, no, Jova, they're just doors that you need to open. Basically, those doors have like a glyph, magic glyph on the background. Sorry, not the background, on the ground, where Thor needs to energize using Mjolnir, and they just open. It's the equivalent of Kratos just pulling up a door.
I must be mistaking them with another bat of ice walls in this game.
You're probably confusing with another game entirely, Jova, because the ice walls are not really that much of a big of a deal.
Oh, it has been a while since I played this game. I played this game in like 2011.
Which version, actually? The Wii, I guess?
Wii version, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although,
maybe actually the Wii version has some different elements.
Like I said, the Wii version surprisingly has a better frame rate.
Well, I can imagine the Xbox 360 has a better performance compared to this one, considering the better hardware.
Is this the PS3 version you're playing?
Yes.
Ah.
Remember, Joe, for these HD versions, I'm only playing the PS3 versions.
I would like.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing the same thing with my future Disney licensed games run, except for the ones that were only on 360. Those I have to the 360 versions, obviously.
That said, yeah, 2011. The PS3
There
was
we go.
better,
And that,
but it was
ladies
still...
and gentlemen, is how Thor deals with a fucking tower.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Blowing it up.
Do we even face Ymir then?
Yes, now we can face Ymir.
Oh, right. It wasn't even the tower itself that he was hiding in.
No, it was literally just padding, Jova.
Yeah, the tower itself was actually...
I could have literally just cut away that entire section and nothing would have changed.
Boing. Hard targets. That's an innuendo. Thanks for that game.
I only appreciate puns if the game is at least...
Alright, time to... Well, we're about to actually see what Ymir actually looks like. This was just a projection of his head.
Oh, but of course.
Ymir waits beyond. The ice
Hey Loki, you gonna do anything other than just giving us advice?
No, he's gonna do only that.
You know, it's not like he had any trickery that helped him be usable in a fight. Oh wait, no, that was the beginning of the first movie.
Okay, to be fair, Joe, he does kinda that in helping us for the final boss, but it's really only one thing.
That's the final boss, and okay, yeah, sure. We may know he has some devious plot machinations, even though some of those don't make as much sense at this point in the plot.
Trust me, Jova. Even the payoff for Loki's treachery that he's probably plotting is some of the more cock-blocking things I have ever seen in a piece of fiction.
Time for justice, abomination.
All because he needs to fit in order to be a prequel to the movie.
You know, Thor has no idea that Zip is a
Thor, Far From Home. Hindsight.
References.
Well,
I
like
clapped when I saw the reference.
a call forward.
Yeah. Alright, another horde, then we'll be able to face him here.
Brilliant.
In this case,
Not enough of these.
we need to actually destroy... Well, okay, we don't necessarily need to destroy all the enemies, we need to destroy all the 4 pillars that hold the building. Basically, again, the idea is that we need to put Ymir in a desperate state. If Thor wrecks his shit up, yeah, Thor literally just entered his own, shuttle over the carpet just to get attention. It's a very rude guest.
Admittedly, Ymir kind of attacked Asgard and may have killed one of his friends as far as he knows. Yes, we get it for Sif, even though she's not dead.
Well, okay, Thor doesn't know, so at least... Well, there's the problem. Again, I understand the fact that Thor doesn't know, but there's the fact that the player knows at this point is, again... Yeah, it puts things into a different perspective and kind of alienates things.
Let me put it like this.
Especially because you're stuck with Thor the entire time, so you have to see both his point of view and what's really going on.
Maybe if there was like some dramatic tension, like, you know, we see Thor grieving for Sif, but no, he just shouts, "For Sif! For Sif! For Sif!"
That's because Thor is still stuck in his jerk-ass period. Remember, before the character development he had in the actual movie.
Nice.
So there's not much to work here with aside from being a Blood Knight.
And since in order for the first movie to happen, he would have to revert to that jerk-ass period, then again, it's not really much point caring unless he learns a different lesson than he did in the first movie. Now, is there?
There we go, that's what Ymir looks like.
Huh. What the heck happened to him?
Well, it's essentially like a godlike being, so of course it can take any shapes that he wants. So for this case, the developer just thought, yeah, okay, let's just making a slightly different looking of the ice golems, just with different weak points.
So Thor is able to take out a godlike being in this game, but in the movie, he can't take on the regular ice giants.
Well, he can. It's just that he's being held back by the circumstances.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like, well, okay, Thor has been facing so many ice giants on his own in this game, probably more than he did in the movie. And during that point, he had friends backing him up. So, it's a bit jarring.
Oh, that's right, I forgot to mention. Don't expect the three warriors, they're not in this game, they're not even mentioned. I don't understand. Again, I do wonder if the developers only knew parts of the movie, and so they were just, okay, we'll just work with the things we have.
Wasn't Sif one of those warriors?
No, the three warriors, remember, Jovar.
Oh, wait, no, the three warriors.
Yeah, Fandral, Hogun, and Volstagg.
Although Sif is still with them. Again, is Sif just like the extra friend along with the three warriors?
Pretty much.
So that's why. So is that why she was absent in Thor Ragnarok?
I guess.
Again, she's like the only one of them to show up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for that one episode. And then, nothing.
Again, that Disney Plus series can consume enough. Absolutely not.
Although, I guess
not just that, Jova. Remember, that's also part of the fact that a couple of the other characters from the Norse pantheon, like Balder, are completely lost in the show, simply for the fact that, in order to simplify things, they couldn't have that many characters, so some of them had to be cut out, but, for example, Balder is relatively important, so I don't know why he had to get the shot, unfortunately. Anyway, hold on, this is actually important.
Did you truly think you could harm me, Odin's son? I am one of the ancients.
Yeah, buddy, you're not actually gonna be in the movie, so obviously that means you're going down.
Alright, if you don't remember, Loki has mentioned the fact that Ymir is literally sitting on top of something, like of a weapon, that can be used to kill him permanently. So that's what Thor is about to do.
You literally have the weapon that could kill you on your person. Well, not on your person.
It's like the whole shadow fever thing. It's like, why do you have that?
Huh.
Why are you sitting on this thing? I don't understand.
As ice can form, he cannot be defeated. But therein lies the key to my plan.
Your plan?
Behold the Cave of Ages. Inside lies a weapon so powerful that it could melt all.
Yeah, Loki is literally like, just release this machine. It is definitely not a trap.
Power in this frozen hell. Who can understand the Allfather's? He hopes for a peace that will never come. Perhaps he's lost the
You're so convincing.
Huh.
And yes,
Well,
that was
think
okay. Now things are about to get a little frantic because you see, you're supposed to, energize this glyph in order to free this machine. But Ymir can regenerate, as we have said. So here's how it's gonna go: you need to defeat Ymir, and while it's regenerating, you're frantically supposed to energize the machine as fast as you can, essentially. If you don't do it fast enough, the machine will go back to 0% in terms of being energized. So you need to adopt a fast pace here.
Thor, do you think maybe he might be speaking the truth when he mentions the end of all worlds with that thing? I mean, think about it, Thor. If he could have, wouldn't he have used that weapon to sort of bring the rest of the worlds to their knees?
Well, it's an ice giant. I kind of find it hard that he would use a fire weapon.
Well, again, that just begs the question as to why that thing is nestled in his own flipping lair.
Loki explained that Odin put it there for some reason.
But he apparently knows about it. Thor does not seem to be putting two and two together that maybe his father...
Because he's still, again, it's in its thumb period.
Okay.
He's so stupid.
Well, here's the thing. He's not necessarily supposed to be stupid. Naive, yes, but not stupid, which is admittedly one issue I kind of have with Thor Ragnarok.
Let me put it this way then. He doesn't think things through, like Odin himself said in the movie.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a difference between, not thinking things through and then how dumb he is in For the Dark World. Again, like I said, it is one of the few complaints I do agree with about Ragnarok, that it does kind of play up his more dumb side a bit too much with the flanderization here and there. Nonetheless, it is still a very funny movie, which is more than can be said for Dark World. But here, this just feels like Thor being dumb. Like, you'd think, maybe there's a reason. Maybe there's a reason Father put this. This blatant weakness of the ice giants within their own ranks here and there, and why the ice giants haven't, done away with it, especially since Ymir seems to know about it too.
Sorry, Joe, but lightning goes brrr. That's kind of limiting. He's just enjoying killing things at this point.
Well, that, and I do agree with Joe mentioned Ragnarok. I do agree with some fans that for a movie that has the word Ragnarok in the title, which basically means the frigging apocalypse. Is that really the kind of movie you want to be doing comedy about? I mean, that'd be like, imagine if Avengers Endgame had that. That movie would have been terrible.
Actually, I have a question. I forgot if I asked you already. Did the movie had rewrites or like shift in development at all?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Remember that was also the foreshadowing that Age of Ultron was supposed to have of foreseeing visions of the Ragnarok by the hands of Hera. So I do wonder if something happened.
I think Ragnarok was made after Disney shifted Marvel Studios from being under Marvel Entertainment to be just under them. And from what I could gather, Kevin Feige has more of a final say on things.
Because we're done, and you're about to meet the villain of the entire game, Mangog. And get ready, because this fucking thing is voiced by not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 different voice actors, all at the same time.
Why?
I'll explain in a second.
I know it's supposed to sound menacing, but it just sounds goofy.
Yeah.
It's like he stepped from a Lego.
Anyway,
I love how he stepped out only to step back in.
Not just that. Have you paid attention to the fact that the machine was Mangog and he just got away? Pay attention for when the cutscene ends.
I have unleashed this weapon upon Asgard. Bring me home, Loki, now. Activate Bifrost and bring me home.
It's the Bifrost.
It's the Odin Bifrost, Lewis.
The Odin Frost, then, whatever.
Bifrost.
Hold on. But I just freed Mangog. Why is
Wait.
it still there? The developer seriously forgot to put a placeholder for when Mangog was freed.
Don't you see? They've been drinking their Odin cider.
It's.
Anyway.
I love how that guy was basically reserved to just a Highlander video game and PC. Go away. Bye.
Anyway, the reason Mangog speaks in different voices is because it's a construct that contains an immeasurable amount of souls, meaning that it doesn't have an identity, but it's an amalgamation of souls speaking at the same time. For reference, it's voiced by Steve Blum, Robin Atkins, Mary Weiss, Lisa Moncur, and Mitch Lewis himself. Again, all at the same time. 3 guys and 2 chicks.
Huh.
Anyway, see you for the next part, where Thor travels to, I think, Jotunheim. So see you for that.
How fun.
See ya.
See ya.
Yep.